Guys, so today I want to break down probably one of my favorite blocks from a Colts player all of last year, and we're going to look at this matchup between Anthony Castonzo and Von Miller. And before we really jump into this, I want to do a quick breakdown of kind of what I'm talking about schematically here. When it comes to offensive line play, the Colts made that big change from 2018 to 2019, from going from Coach Gooch, who was kind of more of a traditional offensive line coach. He was very rah-rah, very kind of in-your-face emotional type coach. And a lot of what he was doing was kind of in line with a lot of other offensive line coaches around the league. So it was a mixture of aggressive sets, angle sets and jump sets, along with your passive vertical sets. When the Colts brought in Chris Strausser and then also for a time Howard Mudd, though, they kind of adjusted to Mudd and Strausser's unique kind of style of offensive line play, which is pretty much exclusively aggressive sets, angle sets and jump sets. So instead of kind of forming, this vertical set where you're kind of jumping back here, your aggressive set and your angle sets, they're going to come out wide like this and form more of a dish rather than kind of a loop in the pocket there for your quarterback to stay in. This is not really a shared view from a lot of offensive line coaches, but it's what the Colts kind of adjusted to. And honestly, in my opinion, the sack numbers went up in 2019 compared to 2018, but I do think the offensive line play in general improved under this kind of technique and this style here. And that's kind of what we're going to break down here with Anthony Castonzo versus Von Miller. And, Von Miller is an all-time great pass rusher. He's, going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. He's one of the greatest to ever play. So this is no easy matchup for Anthony Castonzo, who, by the way, was having his best career season here at the left side. But what I really like about this play is just how he executes his angle set against a guy like Von Miller. And, if you want to read more about Howard Mudd's thoughts on how to block Von Miller, I think he actually has a whole article on his website. I think it's howardmudd.com or something like that, about how to, his style of blocking and how it works against Von Miller. So we're going to go through this a little bit here. And if you look at Anthony Castonzo here, first watch his feet. He gets that really wide step, but as you see, it's not going back in that vertical set. It's going right out wide. It's, to kind of initiate that contact with Miller. Because, when you're a pass rusher like Von Miller, you want to be coming downhill from this wide 9 spot to an offensive lineman that's playing passive. If he's going back, you can come right down on him as hard as you can. And his balance is going backwards. It's not going at you. What the angle set kind of creates, though, is, Castonzo stepping forward towards him. He's trying to be the initiator here, and you can see this dish pocket kind of forming here. Perfect to what, Howard Mudd and Chris Strausser want from this offensive line. So Castonzo's being the aggressor here. He's taking on Von Miller. He's not letting Von Miller come to him, which, step one is perfect for what you want to see here. But also look at his hands. He's very patient with his hands. He lets Miller swat and move his hands however he wants, because he knows that the key to winning his block is getting his hands on first and driving Miller out of the play. And that's exactly what Castonzo does here. He lets Miller attack first, gets his hands where he wants, continually works those hands. He's not going to keep in that same spot. He's going to keep driving and keep working them where he needs to be. And he's eventually able to run Miller out the backside of the play as Jacoby Brissett runs for, I think, a 4 or 5 yard gain here out of the pocket. But this is exactly what Howard Mudd and Chris Strausser want out of this offensive line, and why, the angle sets and the jump sets are big in this game plan. For speed rushers, I've talked to Kamoko Toure and Ben Banagoo and a lot of speed rushers over my time, covering the NFL. And, they want to come downhill. They want linemen to be in that, passive, aggressive, passive vertical set where they can come downhill and they can, work that outside. They can work what they want to do. When you're kind of, sitting out here in your wide 9 spot and the tackle is jumping you or he's doing the angle set, you have to be right on time with your move. You can't be second-guessing your move. You can't be thinking about, when you're going to hit it or whatever. It's right away. You have to make your decision right here rather than making your decision right here. And that's what I love about this kind of set here. Castonzo's able to get on him early, force him into kind of waving his arms before he wants to. He gets his hands in early and then runs them out the backside here. Just an excellent block by Anthony Castonzo against an all-time great. And, I think this really just highlights, one, how great Mudd and Strausser's system was for this offensive line last year, and where I think a lot of these guys improved. And also just how great Castonzo was last year really in this system. I think, from watching his play these last couple of years to comparing it to last season, I think he had his best overall, season of his entire career. And it really shows on plays like this. Again, Von Miller, all-time great, Hall of Famer one day. And Castonzo handles him with relative ease here. So I just want to talk a little about aggressive sets again. I know it's something I love talking about with you guys, but I don't think we're talking enough about how much the offensive line even grew last year compared to 2018. Even though the sack numbers were a little bit worse, mainly because of quarterback play, I think this offensive line is growing into, definitely a top 3 or top 5 in the league, if not the best one day in the whole NFL. So I'm really proud of this offensive line. I think plays like this just really highlight kind of their growth that they've had over the last couple of years.